So, how do you want to talk about your deal here?
I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Maybe that wasn't the best segue, but here we are.
Segues are good.
Yeah, I'm a hard cut type of guy. Start the clip. Start the YouTube clip now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can work back. So the most important thing to me is that I continue doing what I'm doing. Right. So when that opportunity to continue doing that ended, it was like, whoa, that's a pretty big blow. And what people didn't know is that, so I officially stopped. I have to be careful how I say this. Officially stopped being around those people like right before Thanksgiving last year. And what people didn't know is that I was in Florida prior. People know that, right? Did Les Mots, all this stuff. Went to Renter's Compound. Yeah, had a great time. Did a burnout in Hellforce. Frank was there on his own, just with a friend. Didn't even know he was going to be there. And, Frank used to work for Side by Side Blog, quit way back. And when he left, he was so excited about the reception of what happened at that event because he was a part of it. He was helping out behind the scenes.
I got a little special access, It was kind of cool.
Yeah, because we don't
Did a
people
big old
from the
wheelie
track
across the burnout pad and the golf cart. That was cool.
Yeah.
Well, there was interesting speculation because also Rich was there.
Right, yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting...
Yeah, Rick can do whatever he wants. More power to him. I hope he continues doing what he's doing. But when Frank left Florida, he was so excited. He's like, I'm going to fire up a YouTube channel. I'm going to do this with one of his friends. And then when I got home and found out I was no longer going to be with those people, Frank and I bonded at the event. I'm like, dude, this just makes sense. And so soon after, we had just like a nice meeting. And it's like, this is what's going on. I have to keep doing YouTube because I found out something that I'm actually good at. Spent a lot of my life doing things I wasn't good at and spending a lot of time and wasting a lot of money, especially through, college. Not saying college is a bad thing, but it just doesn't work for some people. It's a business.
Pretty bad.
And that's the worst part about it. And so it just was a no-brainer. And I told Frank, this is what's happening, and I want to do something. And he said, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting timing for sure, because as Frank was wanting to do his own thing, and I don't know, your level of filming and editing skills.
Well, I had a small YouTube channel before I met these guys.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, some of his videos have done pretty good over the years. It was just like random clips of him being crazy Frank.
Yeah, I'm just very well known at certain places from the motocross theme and everything. But
yeah,
so you have your skill set.
I'm just not a editor kind of guy, I guess you say.
Yeah, you have to be like a really special person to be able to do it all. I can't do it all. Like I'm not that good in front of the camera, and you need to have someone you're doing it with. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Looking at you, Coop, it's hard.
You're speaking right to me.
I know.
I do this by myself, and this is a little different, though.
Yeah, this is different.
But yes, I mean, obviously, I think I have 350 videos of just me filming, editing, building cars.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Granted, I have Bronte, which is very helpful, and I now reproduce, so I'm working on the second level, helper.
Yeah, take over the reins.
Just to help hold a wrench here and there, but I mean, yeah, it's tough. There's definitely the ups and downs of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was, I don't know. It's hard to really address everything in a good way because there's just so many unsolved things still. Like the position that everyone's in is unchanged at this point.
Yeah, and you were owner.
So this is what makes it interesting, right? This is something I did, well, yeah, sure. That can be argued, and I'm sure will be. But
not in a room like this, I'm sure. I'm sure somebody will have a coat on when they do it.
I hope that isn't the case because, man, it's just the dragging out level is not great. Anyway.
But you wouldn't want to drag it out.
I don't want to drag anything out.
Yeah, there's no reason. There's no financial benefit to drag anything out.
No, there's only people that benefit that are in that situation are your lawyers, and then it takes the focus off what you need to focus on. But so to get back to your point, when Side by Side blog became a business in 2018, my wife was the other owner. So it was a third. Mm-hmm. And she was a third owner. And the reason behind that was because at the time, and still to this day, I spent a ton of time in college and racked up a ton of student loan debt. Sucks. It's not good for your credit. It's not good for your life. You just try to figure out something and do something, and you drag it out for so long, and you just end up with a huge amount of debt. And it seemed to be like that was going to really inhibit this business if I'm on it, right? If we need to get a business loan or whatever, they're going to look at me and be like, man, that's, this guy's got
X amount of monthly payments that you have to make.
Right. He's got bad credit. I, went through a million different jobs before Side by Side blog was a thing, and it just made sense. And that was the inevitable reason why I was essentially able to not stay, was because a majority decision was made by other people
to get your wife out, technically.
Well, to have me not be there.
Yeah.
So me not being an actual owner is how that was possible.
But you said it was your wife that technically.
No,
right?
she legally owns everything. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's all her.
Interesting.
So it's a little bit interesting. It's weird. It's tough.
It's a hairy deal. Yeah.
It's a super hairy deal. And
I'm not a lawyer enough to understand everything, I guess.
It really just overcomplicates something that shouldn't be complicated, and it makes it really difficult for no reason. But
it also puts a weird situation where now there's a 50-50 ownership of something.
Well, not yet.
Yeah,
well, there is going to be, but I guess inevitably, I don't know.
I don't know what.
Yeah, I guess I was just imagining now 50-50, so decisions become hard. Unless somebody
Decisions are always hard.
Alan told me never be 50-50. 51-49.
Yeah.
50-50 gets weird.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, there's a lot that you could say. And again, like, I've thought a lot about this. I spent a lot of time alone. I've spent tons of time reading. I've been all over the place mentally with everything. And like deep down, not actually mad, right? I know that's crazy to imagine. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that said, oh, I'd be, super pissed, this and that. And people that were pissed that are close to me. But I'm just not actually mad, and I don't want anybody to do bad at all.
Yeah.
Like, I wish the decision was handled differently, and I wish that, there would have been more of like a, let's talk about it, not let's just make a decision and just see what happens. Mm-hmm. But, at this point, there's no more relationship and never will be.
Do you think that there's a bit of a financial burden taken off your back? Because no. I don't think everybody knows that you guys obviously had a massive facility.
No, I love that. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was like, it's like just the responsibility. I love the responsibility.
That's what I mean. Like, I feel like almost there's like a responsibility taken off your shoulders, but yeah, I mean, that would just be in the eye of the beholder, I guess, at that point. And nobody else knows the backings besides the three of you.
Yeah, I think in general, there's reliefs in certain ways, but then there's huge, mental burdens because there's still people that are there that, I won't be friends with anymore because that's the decision that they've made. And they're now in a place where, like, I feel like I can't take care of them, if that makes sense. Like when you work on something so long and generate money and create opportunities and, do all this stuff, and then you don't have that ability to do that anymore, that sucks. But then it's like, man, like you start to worry and care about those people, and it puts you in a position where, I don't know, it's tough. I thought about it a lot, and
well, it becomes a machine too. I mean, that's where it's stressful as well because views have to keep up to keep the machine rolling, and like it's a creative thing to keep everybody afloat. Yeah. And once your overhead grows in a YouTube-centric deal, it's tough. It's like a stressful thing. And I've always tried to keep my personal overhead as low as possible to where I can be as streamlined as possible. So when I think of these YouTubes with big overhead, it seems interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it's like anything, It's like a rocket, right? If it goes, it's going to go, and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to complete the mission.
You watched SpaceX recently?
Or halfway through, it's going to explode fantastically.
They do that pretty frequently.
Yeah.
That's also considered a successful rocket when they only make it halfway there and blow up.
Right. And looking back, I don't think,
Okay.
yeah, I don't think I'm not mad about what happened. I just, it's an interesting new position to be in. And there's a lot of disappointments surrounding the situation. But at the end of the day, people can decide to do whatever they want to do and say whatever they want to say. It doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it right. You just have to take the hand that you're given and move on with it. There's been a lot of tough breaks in a lot of people's lives. This is nothing compared to what people deal with all the time. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a business change, and obviously a fresh start for you potentially that wasn't prepared for.
Yeah, not
at all. And I said this with Parker, and I got a little heat for it, thinking I was coming at Garrett, but I was saying how I understand the situation, but people thought I was attacking Garrett, even though
that's weird.
Everybody thinks anything I say is attacking him. But
Been there.
I understand your situation more than most.
Yeah.
Because I was part of something from day one that I'm no longer a part of, no matter how the split really happens, no longer a part of it. Obviously, I have a much different relationship.
Yep.
But it's still a split. And it's tough. It's that first week feels weird.
Super weird.
What the heck is going on now? Not driving to the same place, not talking to the same people. It's a weird thing. So I understand that aspect of things. And then you kind of have to pick up all the parts and see where you go and look at your own skill set. And you're like, well, what can I do?
Right. What do I mean? And at that point too, it's kind of, and it's even, I think it's more difficult for me than it was for you because, and I'm not trying to compare it. Maybe,
no, of
maybe
course.
it wasn't.
But I had no ownership. So of course it's different.
Well, you play a character for so long and people don't really understand this, right? And the playing a character is a weird thing to say too, 'cause it's not I'm out there acting and, rehearsing a script or whatever. But you're an instigator. I was an instigator. I, received a lot of heat on the channel, which is fine. I didn't care because the videos were doing well and I knew what I was doing was a good thing. And you become a person, I'm hands off on tools a lot because there was people that were better than me, right? So you kind of get this reputation of just being an idiot and being an instigator. And then you start to take that on personally. And then, your people are calling you an asshole and a POS and all this stuff. And it's man, who am I and what really, who am I?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I had to figure that out too, because once you're going to put a different voice to a different channel.
Yeah, it's tough.
What's the voice going to be?
Right. Yeah, and that's what we were kind of scared of at the beginning. What's he going to, how are people going to portray this? And
yeah.
It's,
because
they've seen a whole new Nick.
Yeah, because, at the end of the day, the person you see in front of the camera is rarely the person that person actually is.
Yeah, I know people play things up pretty aggressively on most parts of YouTube, and you kind of have to. I mean, nobody's going to be like that all the time, except for me. If you come up to me in person, I'm pretty much the same as I am on this podcast.
Yeah, the exception to the rule, I think, is definitely you.
I'm detriment to myself in a lot of ways because of that, though.
I mean,
and I think you can understand that as well because we've both been a similar persona online. I mean, there's no question that I'm not an instigator in any point that I'm in, and you kind of have to deal with that as well. And you've always been good about taking the brunt of the attacks, which is so tough. I don't know. I mean, you've had to deal with that.
It was always fine. I never took it personally.
You need different personalities to clash. Everybody can't just be the happy, fun guy that.
Right.
I mean, not happy fun, but everybody just can't be the same personality. It's just
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You got to have the expert, the person, actually doing the wrenches behind the scene, comedic relief, the instigator to put it all together. It just makes sense.
Yeah, like watch a sitcom.
Yeah, and like you look at C-Boys, you know, they're about as positive as you can get. And you still have Ken, who's kind of like the bah humbug guy, doesn't want to do stuff. And people eventually learn to love that character.
I will be honest. If you line them all up, I don't know if I can name each one.
Well, Big Ken, tall guy.
I don't know if I can be like, that one's this. I thought they're all just C-Boys. There's too many.
Yeah, they're C-men now.
There's quite a lot of them, but yeah, so I mean, you need the mixed personalities to make it really work.
Right. So anyway, not to get too deep into that at all, or, you know, say anything more that I don't want to say, but at the end of the day, it just it left me really like in a bad mental spot where it's like, whoa, like you need to do something. And like people around me are telling me like, you need to do something because
I called you.
Yeah, no, I know. And like I went to PRI and, you know, thank God Don, owner of the Supra, like still wants to do that. And I went to PRI with him and just kind of, you know, there's a ton of people that still know me from Side by Side Vlog, of course. You know, there's 8 years of my life into that, so that's going to remain. And people are, you know, trying to do like brand deals at PRI. I'm like, you know, I'm not even talking about it. All right, thanks. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. But, you know, just kind of try to start fresh and get into a whole different community that I liked from the beginning. Car stuff was always like what I loved.
Yeah, and you're well connected into that community as is.
Right, and yeah, that wasn't by design. It was just, turns out everybody's pretty cool and we all get along and have similar interests and different skill sets and whatever. And trying to start fresh on a new thing is just, it's so hard. It's so hard.
I think you're in a great situation linking up the two of you.
Yeah,
There's
I love
already
Frank.
a huge leg up with content creation, personality, building like an infrastructure and a team, and like you both obviously bring different things to the table. So I think that's a big step in the right direction, of course. But again, you have to start from ground zero. But you already have a name for yourself, and I've actually told this to many people that work on other channels, is build up your personal social media.
Right.
While you're, if anybody works for somebody and you're just an employee especially, and you have the opportunity to build up your personal social media, you definitely should, because then it's the only thing you can really leave with.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You know what I mean? Like if like you had built up your Leo
Never did.
name a little bit differently.
Right.
Yeah. He
I
didn't
still
have an
don't even have a
Instagram.
personal
That's
Instagram.
yeah, and that's something that I think a lot of people could take away from, is to kind of have a personal likeness alongside of wherever you're at.
Yeah.
Right.
I think for me, I just wanted to exist as that brand, right? And not really, like, because I'm, you know, you can say what you want, but I just don't, like, I'm not that self-centered. I don't need
You have to be
that.
a little narcissistic to post YouTube videos, though.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
a thing. It's tough because you have to be. You have to be a little narcissistic to hit upload and think somebody out there wants to see me.
Right.
And it's a weird kind of deal
That was
to
a hard
cope
button
with.
to push. when we're sitting there, we're like, man.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was a real thing to come over that hump. But yeah, like I just wanted the brand to succeed and wanted to have that be its own legacy, which ideally that will happen. It sucks that, you know, it's not me steering the ship anymore, but at the end of the day, like there's a lot that brand has, and
it has to keep going for your friends to.
well, I mean, yeah, loose term there, really, you know,
Yeah,
not a peep on anyone. So, you know,
it's true. That's
ex-coworkers, perhaps is the. I mean, that's not even the right term either.
ex-employees.
Whatever
A bunch of them. I mean, yeah, that's unfortunate. That's tough. I mean, some people don't know how to speak up. I know, you know, when things went apart with me and Garrett, like I didn't know how to communicate with James anymore, one of my closest friends.
It's hard.
I was like, man, like I don't, like, am I in the wrong for reaching out? Like, am I, like,
Yeah.
you know, me and James, people obviously have always speculated that James and me had a riff, but James is one of my closest friends, which is hilarious. So yeah, I mean that's tough.
It's really tough, and I think, you know, I don't think this is a forever thing. I just think it's like, wow, this is like some rough waters right now.
Well, it's a forever thing that you're no longer with them.
Yeah.
That's a forever thing. Yeah, I don't want people to misconstrue that.
No, it's not a forever thing.
That's a forever thing.
Yeah, I don't know what the future holds for anyone, but this is what the focus will be forever at this point.
We got our own ship.
Yep.
Yes.
It's a lot smaller ship. She's more nimble. It's got like a 30-horse Johnson outboard, you know? We're skimming the small ponds, dude.
Takes time to build up the ship.
The ship is an enormous ship. You don't even realize how much time it takes to build up until you step off the ship and you go, holy shit, that's a huge ship.
Yeah. But to me, I feel like when you step off and you're like, wow, like, I don't have to steer that anymore. It's kind of like, I know, yeah, it was your baby. I get that. I understand the desire to want to steer it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's such a hard thing to explain. There's so many thoughts on it, and like I really haven't even sat with myself and like came to any conclusions other than I'm not actually mad. I'm not mad.
I think that's the best and only real case scenario because, you know, being angry and looking back on a situation constantly isn't going to help your future.
No.
So it's kind of like, yeah, it happened, but like, you know, that stupid saying of cars have a big windshield and a small rearview mirror.
Right. That's a good point.
It's a stupid saying, but it does make sense.
Yeah, what's behind you barely matters as long as, you know, if you hit a bump in the road, just know the bump's there next time you go down the road.
Exactly.
It's just important, but yeah, I don't know.
Be more vigilant, I guess, you know? I don't know.
Just a lot more I could say, but it's just not really worth it, and it's not really anybody's business.
Yeah, I think people understand we're tiptoeing around things a little bit here. I mean, at least me, because I've only ever actually heard from you.
Yeah, well, maybe more calls will be made.
Everybody's got my number.
Yeah,
only
that's
heard from
okay.
you.
Yeah,
well, I called you anyway.
You called me, for the record.
So granted, I guess I made the decision there.
No, that's okay. It's okay. And like, just, you know, we'll put it to bed after this.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want anybody involved in this situation to have to choose a side. I know it feels like you might want to from what you're hearing or what you're seeing or whatever, but like, people will say and do anything, right? You could say and do anything. Anyone can say and do anything, right? Again, it doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it real and whatever. And a lot of things are emotionally charged often. And that, you know, comes out of passion, comes out of anger, comes out of whatever. And I don't want anyone to have to choose sides. And I don't want anyone to do worse or anything. Like, everyone should still be doing what they want to do and should solely focus on.
They shouldn't try stopping you from doing something either.
Yeah.
Well, bands break up. That is pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah.
I don't know of any band that's not broken up over time.
Right.
And gone off and did their own things. And some band members become really successful. Some fade off, unfortunately.
Yeah, and if the band gets a new lead singer, I hope they can continue rocking. I don't look at it in a way where I don't want anyone to fail. Like, it's, you know, might be hard to believe, but it's not the case. I know that the world's only so big, especially the world that we're in. And like, you know, if these people are around, I'm not afraid to see them. And I hope this isn't a situation where that's not mutual.
Yeah, I mean, if you go out to like Camp Razor or something, like it's a small.
Everything's small.
Silver Lake's pretty small, very small.
Silver Lake is, that's a
very small.
That's a small pond.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's like it's tough because, and especially the side-by-side community is very tight-knit.
Right.
Small community. It's not like there's 5 side-by-side YouTubers, like big ones, you know?
Yeah.
It's a small group.
I don't want any opportunities to go away from either side because of a split up, right? It's just it's not fair to either group.
And like the people supporting us, the fans, you say, they don't need to pick sides.
No.
Just watch whatever you want to watch.
Yeah. Let your views do the talking, let your money do the talking, or just enjoy everything. Like, you don't have to be upset because you don't agree with someone's decision, because there's an awesome chance that you have no idea what's going on.
That is 100% true, because I've seen crazy comments on my situation that I'm like, you just made up a crazy story. Like a paragraph of just like inaccuracies, and I don't even bother correcting it because I'm like,
yeah,
what am I going to try to convince this one guy that he's wrong?
And then the chain of, oh my God, where did you read this? Where was that posted? Who said this?
Yeah.
Comments after that one initial comment, it just fuels the fire. And so you're just in this massive web of like literally nothing anyone's ever said was ever remotely close to being true.
Yeah.
So why? I just don't understand why even bother. You're never going to actually know because you weren't in it.
The
so just let
fan
it go and
bases
enjoy.
can make things more toxic.
Yeah.
Like the fan speculation, because like it happened with an example of everybody was posting Brett Lasala's car and Jeff Lutz's car and like putting them against each other at Sick Week. Those two people are friends.
Yeah.
Everybody using those two cars to attack the other car are making like a hate-filled thing for no reason when they're friends. So like there's these two sides, but then the two people don't actually have any animosity at all.
Or any stake in it. They don't give a crap. They're in a different everything.
So like the fan base has made that more difficult, which
and
is
I think
weird.
That comes back down to like the social media thing and how it gives a voice to everyone.
People thrive on hate.
Yeah, and people thrive on negativity and comments. And Joe Blow can have one comment somewhere, and all of a sudden it's taken as gospel. It's like, man, tell you what, Joe Blow does not know. He doesn't.
It's weird how that works. Mm-hmm. I've seen that before too, where like the telephone game quickly gets out of hand.
Oh, yeah.
Heard this from someone else, and people on Reddit start to speculate like crazy. Those guys are crazy. Redditors.
I mean, it's anonymous, so you can say whatever you want.
Redditors are wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's where things get out of hand. But yeah, I mean, there's not much left to say. I mean, you guys are going to continue on doing awesome content, moving to Florida, of course.
It's the inevitable move for everyone, bro. I don't know why. Especially being from Michigan. Like, there's so many snowbirds anyway. You might as well just join the pack. Fly down permanently.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of Michigan is pretty rough.
What do you do in August, though?
Yeah,
Do you just hide in here?
Yeah, I have a little AC unit.
Like, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, I was down in July. I don't know if it was a year or the year before, doing some stuff with Garrett. And man, if you can get through the humidity, it's okay. It's doable.
You just have to prepare that you're going to change shirts 5-6 times a day.
Yeah.
And boxers.
You're still a boxer guy, not a boxer brief?
Yeah, boxer guy. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Bogetti Clips YouTube channel. For the full podcast, check us out on Bogetti Studios YouTube and all your audio platforms. Also, hit that subscribe button to not miss out on any of the new Bogetti clips coming up.